Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Alright, I'm pretty sure the sound's on. So I've been. It's been a long night. It's 5:05 in the morning, and thought about the situation in Ukraine a lot, the peace negotiations, and everything that's going on. I feel like this is a really important time, and it's a really important time to make the right decisions. So I want to talk a little bit about what's going on right now. But first, I want to show, like I said, it was a long night, but I did bake a cake, and it just finished a few minutes ago, so I'll go show that to the camera. Hold on a second. Actually, first, gotta eat my mozz. This is really good stuff. I totally recommend that. It's probably the best applesauce I've had. The only thing is, usually I get the kind of applesauce that doesn't have any sugar of any kind or any sweeteners. So, this one, I got it from my health insurance provider, so I didn't have any options, but it actually tastes really good. I put it in the cake. I put a lot of things. I put in honey, I put in a strawberry jam, I put in a lot of cinnamon, olive oil, vegetable oil, and the blueberry muffin mix. And I thought I mixed something chocolate. Oh, a Ensure vanilla milkshake, because I ran out of almond milk. So I have some chocolate health shake mix, but I didn't add anything healthy to this because I like having my morning shakes with the superfood powders, and I don't want to overdo those, because if you overdose on superfoods, you might think you're Indiana Jones in this Temple of the Snakes or something. It's pretty weird how or like he was in the spider cave. Whoever wrote that movie must have been familiar with overdosing on good stuff. Too much good stuff. But you got the mozzas. Yeah, loving the mozz. Try one more. Then I'll go show you all the cake. Oops, the mamazine. Oops, the mamazine. Here's the salmon I was talking about. This one's really good. Um, Wild Alaskan. Yeah. All right. And these things. This is French style green beans with no salt. And this is no salt, normal cut green beans. And I think it's a good bedtime snack, but if they're cold, you know. But the French ones, they got these weird like strings in them and stuff. I don't know what's the deal with this one, but it's like I don't really like it because it has these like it gets kind of stringy or something. But it's okay. I think if you eat it for cold out of the can, it might not be a problem. You know, like a bedtime snack. But this thing, if you cook it with other stuff, it gets real stringy for some reason. Here's the apple cider vinegar that I get. It's gotta shake it. Yeah, you gotta shake it, and a couple spoons of that a day I think are really helpful. I don't know. And here's that one of those chocolate superfood mixes that I like. This is good for a morning thing or any time. It doesn't have like a. It doesn't feel like there's like a come down or anything. But I think it's a good substitute for something like coffee. Like you can see the ingredient list. There's like 80 types. There's like 80 different things in it, and you know we believe in these ingredients are really in there. You know what I mean? Because ingredients of all of the foods they have in stores and stuff, those ingredients have been like inspected by USDA and stuff. And I don't know if this one has, but it says like Rainforest Trust Proud Partner and Born in the Jungle, you know, things like that. It's pretty easy to believe that all this stuff's really in here. Yeah, so the only bad thing is if you have high blood pressure like me, you don't want any sodium. One serving of 2 scoops of this is let's see, something like 400 milligrams. Actually 475. Yeah, too bad. So that's a lot for us people who are trying to avoid salt. So I only allow myself to use Kachava once or twice in about 12 hours, maybe once every 12 hours. If I feel like I don't have too much sodium already in my system, which happens sometimes, I can just tell that I can tell by the way my ankles feel if I've got too much sodium, and I can stop and drink a lot of water. And no more food, no more anything with any sodium, except even water has a little bit of sodium, but it's not usually not a dangerous level, especially compared to other types of foods and drinks. So yeah, just chilling out and trying to celebrate a little bit. I actually baked the cake because I was happy. I was feeling, one thing, we prayed for Pope John Francis, and the 88-year-old Pope says he's feeling pretty normal, stable condition, and hopefully he's able to see the end of this crazy war along with everybody, and we'll know that that's the sign that Revelation is finally coming to the 1,000-year reign of Christianity. And there won't be any more wars because we're going to shut them down one by one, but I believe it's got to start with either Israel or Russia, and right now it just seems like another Holocaust up there, so I'm primarily focused on that one. Plus, I've thought a lot about Israel in my life, so it's kind of a balance to what I was sort of focused on before for many years. As well as the United States. I mean, we were over there fighting. It was on the news for 30 years, 3 decades of non-stop Middle East stuff. And it's thank God we got out of there when we could. Too bad it had we had problems leaving there. And yeah, it's just, the Middle East is a fucking mess. It's crazy. With all the churches and stuff like that, there's people that are sort of brainwashed or programmed to sort of deal with that cause, because someone needs to deal with it, really. We can't put it off, and so like with all these churches, there are missionaries who have devoted their lives to Israel's cause, and they've gone there and they are helping out with the situation. Obviously everyone there is, they've got a lot of protection that Ukraine doesn't really have, like an iron dome that shoots down a lot of the rockets when they get close to the capital. Right now, that's the main topic I wanted to speak about today. Is basically, it seems that Zelensky is having trouble accepting the $500 billion offer for minerals, but it's basically 50% of whatever minerals they acquire, and that goes into a fund that eventually will add up to $500 billion, but that fund will take what Zelensky, I believe, said, or Trump, I think it was Zelensky, he said it would take 250 years to finish paying off that amount. And so I guess that means they're expecting to mine about $2 billion worth of minerals a year. I personally think they could do better than that, judging that by the fact that the minerals in their country are estimated at like 17 trillion euros, or like 15 trillion American dollars, whatever the conversion rate is. There's a lot of quarries all over Ukraine, and most of them seem to be in the part that Russia isn't occupying. I do recommend they take a mineral deal. I feel like they're haggling like two thieves in a swap meet marketplace or something over genie lamp oil or something. It's rugs, Persian rugs or something. It's Zelensky said this is no time for emotion. We can't let our emotions get involved in how we react. And the fact is that 500 billion just is too much. Well, all right. I can see where they're coming from. But if you think that Donald Trump is going to go lower, I doubt it. I disagree that he's going to go lower because they keep making the deal more difficult. It seems like in little ways, it's a little bit noticeable that they are not as friendly about it as they were when they started negotiating between Trump and Ukraine, or talking about it, whatever they are, discussing it, the issue. And does that mean that Trump supports Russia and that they are proving to be surrendered to Russia? I don't think so necessarily. But there's something that come to my attention I don't think the news is talking about. I don't think people understand after all the time that we spent focusing on the war, and people like me who have prayed so much about it every single day. I've said things out loud, as often as possible to make my voice heard about the issue of the problems there, so that it will end, and not just because I want to see Revelation finish, because it's just too bad. It's so bad. It's unbelievable. It's like a Holocaust. And to think that Russia is going to get off the hook with this catastrophe of destruction and annihilation, even though most of Ukraine is still there, most of the cities are fine, but they've destroyed a lot of Ukraine, a lot of cities that should still be there, and it's going to take a lot of reconstruction work. So obviously that's going to take a lot of money. And Zelensky basically said about NATO, if NATO would let us join, I would resign. If I'm the one that's the problem, I would be more than happy to do for peace whatever the world wants me to do. If Ukraine could join NATO, I would be more than happy to quit my job. He said that like yesterday or something. These are very important words. These are words that are going down in history, because we don't know what exactly is going to happen. What we see is, like yesterday, they say it was the biggest attack of drones from Russia since the war started. Something like 267 drones in one night. And this is, I think, Tuesday morning. No, this is Monday morning. What they're talking about was Saturday night. Right now it's like noon. They're 10 hours ahead of Pacific Standard Time, so it's noon there, almost. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. It's 3 in the afternoon there right now on Monday afternoon. Yeah. This was Saturday night. It was the worst drone attack. So what does Russia want to do? Destroy Ukraine still. And they're making that obvious. The only thing they haven't done is shoot these crazy missiles and blown up a children's hospital, or some crazy playground, or some, maternity hospital or something. I think they're waiting to find out a little bit of what's going on before they do something like that again. But I believe that they will do it. They'll continue their civilian attacks. And I don't want any more Ukrainians to die. And I'm not overly emotional about it. It's just, there's no reason for any more women or children or people that aren't soldiers to die, or even soldiers. We end the war right now with a $500 billion deal. And here's what I'm getting at, okay? The point of all this: you've got to believe in the mercy and the generosity and the love America has and Americans for Ukraine and for peace on earth. That was proven by the 67 billion we gave that Ukraine got in weapon supplies. Whatever else they got in humanitarian aid and other things was definitely a lot, probably way more from the European Union. And the European Union, those countries have about 450 million people total. So the America has like 360. They might be able to continue the war without our interference, with supplying and helping Ukraine. What Russia needs to realize, there's no way they're going to win because England's involved in the war. And England's a lot closer to the United States, but it's basically the same thing, whether they want to admit that to themselves or not. That's why we call 7 of our states New England. We're serious about it, It's never changed. And those are the northeastern areas, even including New York. So, in my opinion, it includes New York. Some people don't. I think some people don't include New York in it, but I do. I do definitely. Well, I believe it. So, yeah, NATO. There's a problem, Russia should know that NATO was not created to attack Russia. NATO was not created to attack anybody. NATO is a peace, a communion of a united conglomerate of European and well, just any country on the planet, even Japan and other places like that, Canada, New Zealand, and Australia, all the British sovereign places that are part of England, and maybe that includes part of India, but India's not officially, I think, maybe NATO, but it wasn't created to attack Russia or attack anyone, and that's understood by all adults. Okay, any 7-year-old could figure it out. Any 8-year-old can understand there's no way that NATO is going to attack Russia, because NATO was made to defend, not attack. It's a defensive union, partnership. So, yeah, Hawaii. Yeah, Hawaii's got the British flag. I don't think Britain owns part of Hawaii, but they have the British Virgin Islands and the United States Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands in the Caribbean. So NATO should allow Ukraine to join, whether the United States backs out of NATO or not. It doesn't matter. They don't really need us. They're strong enough without us, I believe. And plus, we share the same goals, basically, right? So if Donald Trump removes the United States from NATO, his excuse would be they're not paying their fair share But that's just unacceptable. It's ridiculous. We need Canada to help us when we have problems. We need all the NATO countries to help us when we have trouble. It's understood. NATO should have Ukraine as a member by now. And the fact that they don't, they say that it's because of the rules. And the rules say the war has to be ended before they can apply to NATO, but officially, or fast track themselves in somehow. It took Sweden and Finland way too long, in my opinion. Way over a year, it seemed like. And we were like wishing and hoping and praying for that every single day. And it finally happened. Thank God, Those countries are borderline a lot of Russian territory and so close to Ukraine that it's dangerous if they weren't in NATO. Now we know for sure those are good guys. For sure. 100%. No doubt. So, Russia just gotta accept the reality that they gotta stop being paranoid about Ukraine being in NATO, because NATO will not attack. I mean, that should be a security guarantee from them that Ukraine will not attack Russia if Ukraine's in NATO. Come on, Stop being fucking stupid and ridiculous. It's so obvious to anyone with half a brain, with common sense. Russia is better off with Ukraine in NATO for their security than Ukraine on their own. Because I don't know how these drone attacks to Russia are going to stop when these people have to go back and face the reality of what's happened during the war and see so many of their loved ones and friends with artificial limbs and dead family members. I mean, the mourning is never going to end. It's going to be like the Holocaust, even though there weren't 6 million casualties. It's been too bad, and we know that because after the Vietnam War, all the Vietnam vets were on the streets all the way. I swear to God, it seemed like until way after 2000. And way after even 2005. Probably till 2010. We were still dealing with problems with Vietnam vets and homelessness and stuff. And trying to figure out where they need to go and live, Trying to get them off the streets. It was so depressing, That was the aftermath of Vietnam War for America. And now, no, they gotta let Ukraine join NATO. Zelensky's absolutely right about that. 100% for sure. If they don't, there's gotta be another security guarantee, or the money's gotta be a lot less. Because right now it sounds like highway robbery. When in reality, we didn't give Ukraine $500 billion worth of weapons. It's not like we're asking. What we're doing is asking way more than what we gave. Even though when we did send them stuff, the money was equally used to replenish our stocks. Because we have to replenish our weapon supplies, right? So we gave them old stuff, and we spent the same amount, so the country, the Congress, and the citizens here would understand we're getting new stuff, so don't cry about it. If you don't like Ukraine, if you don't know them, you don't care, don't worry about it. It's all in our benefit. It's all in our favor. And Zelensky would, a lot of times he just wanted to borrow the money so he could buy the weapons new and stuff, and he would buy them from the United States. I mean, if he could borrow secure loans, and stuff like that, maybe he owes the European Union. Ukraine does. I'm not really sure what the deal is there, but I would imagine they're getting reimbursed for whatever they're giving Ukraine somehow. I would not guess that the European Union countries would just give all that stuff away for free. Not really sure about it. I'm thinking about what the United States has done and what they're going to do, what they need to do the right thing. They should do the right thing and let Ukraine join NATO, or not expect so much in return. Lower that amount. Lower the amount by half. You make it 250 billion, and if they say no, fuck it. All right. There's nothing we can do about it. I mean, because that's just so much money. I honestly believe that Ukraine wants it to be less than that. And you know Donald Trump's not going to take 250, right? I would imagine. But I would. And it's for the reason that NATO is not going to let Ukraine join. Because of Russia's demand for that. If that's really how it's going to be, then the money's got to be half. Okay? That's the only logic. Because too many things could go wrong in the future at this point. From henceforth, from here on out. So unpredictable, the future. But here's the other thing that's important. If they take the deal, which I believe they should take a mineral deal, and unfortunately I have to agree that 500 billion is not the worst thing to do. Taking that $500 billion is not the worst thing Ukraine could do, because we don't want any more people dying. A person is worth $1 billion or more. $1 trillion. You know, we don't want any more civilians or military people in Ukraine dying. It's been too bad. We're in hell right now with Ukraine. We stand with Ukraine. But I recommend they take the 500 billion deal if it's impossible to lower the amount. Although I believe they should lower the amount to 250 if they won't let Ukraine join NATO. Alright? But if they allow Ukraine to join NATO, the 500 billion wouldn't be a bad thing. Because, to be honest with you, I totally believe 100%, 101%, well, I don't want to say that, 100% I believe, 99, okay? 99% of my heart tells me that that money will be renegotiated in the future. There will be mercy on that debt and that loan. And there will be forgiveness, and there will be renegotiations to lower the amount, or a cancellation and a forgiveness for the whole amount that's left over at a certain point. Because the future will understand that something was just too wrong about the whole thing. Because NATO could have joined right at the beginning and let the militaries do their job and get involved and end the war immediately and turn Russia around. If they would have turned them around, we might have lost Crimea, but at least we would have turned them around, and they could have, I believe, right when it started. So you guys drive 1 mile into Ukraine, and NATO will be there, ready to turn you around. If you really think you could take on NATO right now, you're wrong. And you want to go nuclear, you're going to lose, no matter what. Russia knows those two main cities, Moscow and St. Petersburg, are the general places of their population. No matter how hard they try to repopulate their frozen wasteland, it won't be enough if there's a nuclear war, because there'll be too much confusion, and Ukraine will not stop with Moscow and St. Petersburg. If the war goes on and it turns into nuclear or World War III, Ukraine will go until there is no more Russia. And Ukraine controls way more than just the Kursk region of, 500 square kilometers or whatever it is right now. Those two main issues are very important at this time. I don't think anyone's going to see this video, but if they do, then I hope they will consider the other possibilities they might have overlooked or gone unnoticed. My window's open. I'm talking to the angels, talking to the birds and the bees. Anybody with an ear to listen from what I believe is my heart and soul, my sincere, genuine prayers for this worldwide problem, this global problem on our trouble on our globe, which needs a remedy immediately and a solution. No more war. No more war in Russia, and some kind of security guarantee, whether that's let Ukraine in NATO, because there's nothing to fear about Ukraine and NATO attacking anybody. There's more to fear if Ukraine isn't in NATO. So that's nonsense, because Ukraine has learned how to fight wars, and they could be very dangerous if they were under the influence of a leader who was not Zelensky at all, a bad guy, who wasn't really concerned with Ukraine civilians' best interests or their military. All these things need to be taken into consideration and acted upon very soon. Please, I beg for the world to hear me. Humanity, all the people of every nation who should be involved and should be raising their voice and should be taking a stand with Ukraine and going against this evil that is like a second Holocaust. I demand all the Jehovah's Witnesses be released from prisons yesterday, today, tomorrow, right now. All the prisoners of war be released. They're suffering in slave labor camps. They're being tortured unnecessarily. All Americans are being held over there, returned. Can you imagine the biggest country on the planet Earth? Those people were thrown into slave labor concentration camps because they had a small amount of fucking marijuana? Medical marijuana. You stupid son of a bitch. Russia. What is wrong with you? You can't even imagine using any marijuana in your life? That is pure foolishness. Incomprehensible nonsense. Rubbish. Disgusting. A belief like that is nothing but evil, slavery, terrorist, sickening dictator crap from your ultimate dictator, the loser of all fucking losers who's ever existed. How is he going to escape this? And we're supposed to forgive him because he's saying Ukraine can't join NATO? Look, all the government officials in the United States, when you say don't start thinking you can join NATO now, you're fucking out of your mind. I'm not going to name any names. But saying that that's not even an option is disgusting. Okay? If you don't want America to be part of NATO, that's your opinion. But acting like NATO is a bad thing for the planet when there's all these evil places that can't wait to destroy the USA with nuclear bombs, like North Korea and Iran. And they've got like all these nuclear bombs. They delivered them to Cuba, so we're close to like the situation of what they call a Cold War or something, where we were on the edge of a nuclear war all the time because they're so close to Florida. It wouldn't take long to destroy Disney World. You know, if Cuba got the green light from Russia to launch missiles. And Russia's ready to launch any kind of missile. The next best thing to a nuclear bomb. At any time to Ukraine, they've already done it. So we know, I've seen explosions in the Middle East, from Israel to Lebanon, or wherever the terrorists were. I think it was Lebanon at that time, and explosions in Ukraine, Voronezh, whatever the name of that city was, Voronezh, that was looked like a nuclear explosion. So, luckily the city was already destroyed mostly at that time when they did it, but I mean, they're ready to launch what's almost like a nuclear bomb. It's just, as long as they don't put the title on it, nobody fucking cares. Well, but I care, and the angels care, and God cares, okay? There's a universe of 1 trillion galaxies out there, buddy, and you just need to fucking realize there's something more than this life, this planet, this paradise or something. And everyone probably has their own heaven somewhere, or at least has their own planet, their own moon or something. Hopefully. I hope so. Why don't we deserve that in the future? We come here and it's almost like we remember our past life, like in these short lives, all these things stay, but we die. We come back. Or wherever we go, We don't take McDonald's with us. Sorry, But we come back and we go there again, Like every fucking day. Like 3 times. Our 4th meal, Taco Bell. Whatever, Carl's Jr. They had to move that away from me. They were so worried about my future. Hunger. But they built a casino where the Carl's Jr. was. And I might go there sometime if I can forget all the memories I have of casinos already, which is thousands. Spent a lot of time in casinos. I'm from Las Vegas, And I love my hometown. There's things about it I don't feel I'm ready to deal with, so I don't go there. And I don't have to worry about what's not right there. It's hard for me to get my mind off of the problems right now, so I just watch videos sometimes that have Vegas in it. And then I feel like it all comes back, it's all coming back to me. Yeah. Alright, so I hope people take these words seriously, and I hope that they will act properly with their decisions and stop seeing NATO as a bad thing. It can only save people's lives that are innocent. And just let Ukraine join NATO. Give me a break. You are promoting Russian propaganda. You're surrendering to the will of a dictator, of a state of terrorism. Russia, 1 million people have said this on social media, that Russia is a terrorist state. I'm not brainwashed. I've seen the evidence of it. Okay? At the beginning of this war, many people had to stay in cramped basements like the Holocaust and hide with their whole community in one basement with no food, electricity, water. Whatever supplies they had, it wasn't enough. Something was wrong. And they had to spend up to a month in a basement with a crowded community, part of their communities that had to hide in basements. And sometimes they were locked in basements by the Russians. They've been subjected, the civilians have been subjected to all kinds of obscene conditions and pure evil, satanic, devil type of stuff. The worst thing you can imagine. Hurting children deliberately without any care, just like wild animals. Like sharks, who even attack surfers. A shark will even attack a pro surfer. And that happened in South Africa at a contest. The guy was an Australian professional, Mick Fanning, and the shark attacked him. He didn't. I don't think it bit him because he fought it, and maybe another surfer swam over and helped him, and then they got out, or they got some help, But a shark is merciless. Whatever their reason is for attacking people, it doesn't matter. They do it, and Russia has done it. And they've done it too many times. So we're not gonna. We're gonna try to forgive them, right? But in the process of this forgiveness, Ukraine should be allowed to join NATO, and if they're not, then lower that fucking amount. 500 billion's way too unreasonable, considering we only gave them 67 billion in supplies, and then maybe another 20 in humanitarian aid or something. I don't know. I don't like seeing Ukrainian military begging for supplies every day, begging for donations to fix their vehicle that got bombed, or they don't have enough drones or something, Like I said, Russia's yesterday with their 267 drone attack, I'm telling you, it sounds like a lot. Okay, yeah, and Ukraine attacks them too, but it's usually more like 100 from both sides every night. 267, that's serious business. I promise you, things are going in a bad direction, and something serious is going to happen if we don't make our voices heard and do something about it. That's why there's all these protesters for Ukraine. There was like 1,000 of them yesterday at the Lincoln Memorial, and I give my love to all those people. Thank you for being there. I wish I could join you there. My heart goes out to you. And there's been protesters in European countries over Ukraine recently because it's getting to that boiling point where something has to be done right decisions have to be made, or NATO's got to step in and let militaries finally do their jobs. They get paid to kill, a license to kill like James Bond, but they got more than a handgun. They're like, got these Scarface type guns, you know. When did Scarface come out? 1981? 91? 2001? 2011? God damn it. 44 years ago. Look at that gun he had at the end of the movie. Now, if every Ukrainian had the right weapons, they would have won the war. See, Ukraine said that already. If we would have got enough money, we could have bought the right weapons, and we would have won the war already. We didn't have enough supplies. Every time they interviewed people, see, they had to take all the newscasters out because they were in danger. I understand that. Some of them got hurt. But the ones that were there, and the ones that gave interviews to all the people in the tunnels, the dugout trenches and stuff, they always say the same thing. We just don't have enough weapons. We're always waiting for more weapons. We're always waiting for more supply. We can only do so much without the right ammunition. So we're just hoping for more. We're asking the world for more, so that we can fight more. So many times they had to wait, and they weren't able to defend themselves properly. And now Ukraine has lost almost the same amount as the people in the Vietnam, as the United States lost in Vietnam, which was about 40,000, maybe something like 32,000 of those were Army, you know, on the land. The rest were probably a lot of Air Force and stuff like that. I know my dad was in the Navy. He said we were shooting bombs from the ship, so there must have been some naval warfare going on there too. Especially knowing that Hong Kong is so close. I mean, I like as a kid, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know where Hong Kong was. It's crazy to go back and think about the situation of the Vietnam War. Like, I don't know what to compare it to. It's like Ukraine fighting Crimea, but then there's Russia. You know, there's Moscow so close by, you know, and Moscow's an ally of that Crimean area. Or, I don't know, I'm thinking one of the bad countries over there that was, they weren't fighting, but like Belarus is on the border of Ukraine, and they're Russian supporters. So, you know, there's been a little bit of conflict, but nothing like Russia at all, even though they're allies. Russia's done what seems like $1 trillion of damage in Ukraine or more. They should have to pay that back. And the fact that we're forgiving all these things about Russia, the news people are saying, it's like, and the government people, a lot of them are saying, it's like Donald Trump has surrendered to Russia. We don't really know why this is going on. The people that have been focused on the war and concerned about righteousness and justice for the victims of the aggressor of this war, which is Russia. It's very confusing. If you are someone who tries their best to be a good citizen, abide by our Constitution, and abide by the Christian principles it was founded on and based on, and someone who's down to earth and loves the human family equally. And yes, the war's got to stop. Donald Trump's right about that, but demanding this $500 billion without letting Ukraine join NATO is ridiculous nonsense. And if that's not the way it's going to be, well, then allow some kind of security guarantee, like 100,000 NATO troops or European troops in, because that would include Ireland or anybody who wants to be there. maybe an international group of 100,000 that's on standby there in case Russia breaks the peace deal. Because they have broken over 25 times since 2014 the peace deals that were negotiated with them, that they signed with the government officials in Ukraine and Russia together. Russia, what we know about Russia is they always break the peace deals. Everything about them is a lie. They always lie. So, security guarantees are important at this time. What's it going to be? If it's not NATO, it's got to be something else. I wish the best for Ukraine. I'm sorry that it might come down to take the 500 or not. But even in that situation, I recommend taking it. And the reason is because I believe that money will be renegotiated or the debt will be forgiven later. It's not logical to think that the future does not care for the poor, the hardworking, and the heart and soul of the human consciousness, which is Israel and Ukraine right now. At that table in Laguna Beach, Zelensky, Vladimir Zelensky, either side, and Benjamin Netanyahu. Either side, either direction, whatever four directions they are. Those two guys are dealing with hell on earth. And they've done an excellent job at it. May I commend those heroes. You know, if I had a way to award them with something of value, I wish I could. I hope they have a book of all my art that I've done. I hope someone has kept tabs on me and put it all together, given a copy to them, because they deserve it. Everything about my heart and soul and mind, and my love for humanity, for what has been given to me, and what I hope will continue to be given, and I'll try to continue giving in my own way. If I'm making videos while Trump's president, or because he's not a president of my United States, he doesn't remind me of the USA until he ends the war in Ukraine. Then I might see him as the president. I might support this country he says he controls. But until then, I might as well be the fucking president, because the president of the United States, as we know what the United States is, based on the Constitution, which is based on biblical principles of righteousness and peace and love, togetherness till the end, from the start. The human family of America and all the Indian tribes in the Southwest and in the central states and in every state and in Mexico and Canada, the places we call for free, our friends, closest friends. We have to join together and take a greater stand for the evil that's happening on our planet. Make sure it's done once and for all. Guess I don't know what else to say. I'm speechless. 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 See ya. Ciao.